In this data review, we will take a closer look at the achievement gap between English learners and white students in the content area of ELA. The targeted audience of this presentation will be the school leadership team as well as grade level teachers. Our purpose will be to review and analyze data for the last 4 years, compare testing data between school, district, and state, identify English learners' areas of strengths and weaknesses, as well as identify possible causes of achievement gap. Some of the guiding questions that will guide us through this review will be: what could be the cause of the achievement gap between English learners and white students? How can we provide more support to English learners? What areas do English learners struggle most? How does Laurel Ridge's milestone scores compare to the district and state scores? What strengths and weaknesses are evident from the data? Are there any content areas of concern? To help us answer some of these questions, we will use data sources such as the GOSA School Report Card, CCRPI scores, Georgia milestones, and SLDs. The school overview shows the student population between the years 2015 and 2019 and their subgroups: limited English proficient students, students eligible for free or reduced lunches, students with disabilities, migrants, female, and male. Over the course of the past 4 years, our school's population has consistently increased each year. However, students with disability has always been the smaller population of our school's makeup. Our teachers vary from years of experience, background, race, ethnicity. This current past year, we had 18 Black teachers, 23 white teachers, and 1 Native American teacher. Years of experience also range from 1 to 10 years, 10 to 20 years. Most teachers have bachelor's degrees, 19 teachers have master's, 2 have specialists. For the purpose of this data dive, we will focus on the ELA content area of the limited English students and the white students. In the 2015-2016 school year, 7.2% of white students tested on a beginning level, while 37.2% of EL students were on a beginning level. 30.1% of white students were on a distinguished level, while only 2.3% of EL students were on a distinguished level. For the school year 2016-2017, 6.3% white students tested on a beginning level, while 33.3% EL students tested on a beginning level. 27.1% white students tested on a distinguished level, and no EL students tested on a distinguished level that year. For the 2017-2018 school year, 9.4% white students tested at the beginning level, while 38.5% EL students tested on a beginning level. 34.4% of white students tested on a distinguished level that year, while only 3.8% of EL students tested on a distinguished level. The following year, 2018-2019, 7.2% of white students tested on a beginning level, while 40% of EL students tested on a beginning level. 42.3% white students tested on a distinguished level that year, while only 2.9% of EL students tested on a distinguished level. Clearly, we can see that there is a large achievement gap between English learner students and their white counterpart peers. White students scored between 25 and 30% higher than EL students each year. The following slide shows student attendance between the years 2015 through 2019. We know that some students' academic performance can be related to their attendance performance. On this first slide, the year 2015-2016, English learners missed 15 or more days. It was 5.8% that missed 15 or more days, while their white students, 6.4% missed 15 or more days. In the year 2016-2017, English learners, 7% of English learners missed more than 15 days of school, while 7.1% of white students missed 15 or more days of school. That year, they were tied for absences. 2017-2018, 7.6% English learners missed 15 or more days of school, while only 6.2% of white students missed 15 or more days of school that year. 2018-2019, 10.1% of English learners missed 15 or more days of school, while 8.3% of white students missed 15 or more days from school. From this data, we can see that the number of absences between both groups of students has increased slightly each year. 2018-2019 school year being the largest number of absences for both groups. This slide displays Laurel Ridge's milestone scores for 2019 compared to the district's and state scores. The graph shows student performance based on beginning, developing, proficient, and distinguished levels. While it does not show subgroup percentages, it does show that Laurel Ridge has more students performing at the proficient and distinguished levels than the district and the state. While it also shows we have a higher percentage of students testing on the beginning and developing level. This is another comparison between Laurel Ridge students and the rest of the students in the district and state. This snapshot shows how 3rd and 5th graders surpass both the district and state in meeting Lexile targets. Laurel Ridge 3rd graders surpassed the county by 32.9% and surpassed the state by 22.2% in 2018. In 2019, 3rd graders surpassed the district by 23.4% and the state by 15.7%. In 2018, 5th graders surpassed the district by 21.8% and surpassed the state by 12.5%. In 2019, 5th graders surpassed the district by 15.8% and the state by 8.4%. This slide shows Laurel Ridge's content mastery percentages. Each year, subgroups are given a target to meet. In 2018 and 2019, both our English language and white students met their ELA targets. In 2018, English learner students had a target of 42.77. Their score was 50.1. And in 2019, their goal was 51.78. Their score was 53.86. In 2018, white students had a target goal of 90% and scored 94.5. In 2019, they had a goal of 90% and their score was over 100%. While both groups surpass their targets, white students surpass English learner students in ELA by more than 40%. This data slide illustrates the large achievement gap amongst white and English language students. While English language learning students met their CCRPI goals, their white counterparts continue to excel in all content areas, creating a larger gap. Our data reflection shows the strengths of our students are students continue to score higher than the district and state on Georgia milestones. A larger number of students continue to meet proficient or distinguished on the Georgia milestones. English language students continue to show growth each year in math. For the past 2 years, students have met and surpassed their CCRPI targets. While the students are continuing to show growth in many areas, there are some areas of weaknesses that need to be addressed, such as subgroups such as English learners and students with disabilities continue to underperform academically compared to their peers. While they are making gains in math, English learners and students with disabilities continue to struggle with ELA. And lastly, students with disabilities consistently fail to meet their CCRPI targets. The takeaways to consider from this data dive are: does attendance play a role with the achievement gap? What strategies can be implemented to support English learners and students with disabilities to help them meet their academic goals? How can we close the achievement gap between English learners and their peers? Do teachers need additional training to support English learners in the classroom? How can we better address the needs of our English learners and students with disabilities? While looking at the data shows us these areas of concern, it also shows us the areas where we are currently excelling and how well our students are doing across the board.